Hello everyone, Brian from Watch Complications. Today I want to give you an up-close look at a new Kickstarter arrival I got this week, the Xeric Atlasphere GMT Blue. I've got on my wrist, been wearing it for the past day. I want to give you some first-hand information about this watch that is now starting to arrive in terms of rewards and that you can also order off of the Xeric website. So let's take an up-close look at the Xeric Atlasphere. So here's the packaging that the Xeric Atlasphere came in, just a regular old cardboard box. So inside the outer box is just their standard black box that has a cardboard wrapper around it to help keep it closed. The box logo on top opens up and then the watch will be in here. There's a warranty card. This whole thing pulls out. You can see it's like a foam pad, and inside of there will also be the warranty card that has information about where to find the manual. They're running a contest for $500 for pictures of the Atlasphere, which was, you know, a nice promotion. So those are the box materials that you should expect with this particular watch. This is a new watch, and they've just started shipping rewards off their Kickstarter campaign. I picked up an early delivery option that got here this week for $199. The regular price on this watch is going to be $299. You can still pre-order though for $75 off, so the price will go up eventually, but right now you can get it for a little bit less than what the full retail will be at $299. Now, as far as the specs are concerned, they say on the site this is 46mm diameter, so it's large. I took the calipers to it though, and I measured at 47mm really the whole way around. It does have a reasonable height at only 11mm. So given the large diameter, I was expecting a little bit more weight, but it's actually pretty light given the diameter at 85 grams. So it still wears okay. It doesn't feel too heavy on the wrist given the size. Lug to lug is 55mm. So it does have quite a distance between the lugs, and you can see they're quite heavily curved. It only has 5 atmospheres water resistance, so this is not something you want to take in the water. You know, a little bit of splashing, okay, but that's about it. The strap is a standard 22mm, which is pretty common with this size diameter watch. The movement in this is a Japanese Miyota GP52 GMT, so it's got some nice complications wrapped up in it. It's got retrogrades you can see here at the north and south poles, the way they've designed this watch. This is the 24-hour, the GMT hand is this one at the north, and at the south is the date, and you can see it's got a 24-hour window, a cutout, which would represent the day and night in this sphere. There are 5 colorways available for this watch. Again, this is the GMT Blue. There's also an automatic version. This is quartz, and there is an automatic version of this that has a display case back, but that one only tells the time. This one has the GMT and the date and the 24-hour complications also. So I thought I'd try the quartz just because it had a little bit more of an interesting look about it for me. And you can see Japanese movement, 316L stainless steel, 5 atmospheres. So this is an interesting watch, and I thought I would give it a try. So like many Xeric watches, it's about the design, overall look being different, making a modern statement, but that clashes with practicality, readability, and usability. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this newest Xeric design. So the pros. First, I wanted to start with the strap. I do like the strap. It's a high quality strap. This is an American Horween leather. These are really nice. They've got the Xeric logo stamped here. The Horween logo is stamped on the other side. It's a good quality leather. You'll notice whenever you bend and twist it, it will get brighter. This is a dark brown strap, so it's a nice high quality leather. It does squeak a little bit. A lot on this watch I've noticed as I've been interacting with it. The buckle's quite nice. This is the gunmetal gray case. That's what I went for on the Kickstarter. So the buckle's nice. It's a nice sturdy strap. It'll last a long time. Good quality leather. Quick release pins. So all in all, the strap is very nice on this particular watch. And given the diameter, you know, it's thin, it wears light, it doesn't feel huge on the wrist, and the strap contributes a lot to that feel. As I said, the case is a gunmetal and polished steel. So one thing I've noticed as I've been sort of interacting with it over the past couple days that I've had it, it does pick up smudges on the the gunmetal surface a little bit more easily than it might on like a polished or brushed stainless steel. The bezel is polished and then it switches to the gunmetal gray. The crown is again sort of a polished look, and then the case back switches to really a brushed stainless steel with the etched design saying the name of the watch is Xeric Atlasphere, movement information, and serial number. This was a limited edition. You can see I got 54 out of the 500 that will be made, and so that's a little bit about the case. I do like the lugs. They are heavily curved, you can see, but because of the size, they, at least on my wrist, wrap nicely around the sides of my wrist, and again add to sort of a more comfortable feel given the size. So I do like the heavily curved lugs, and it's a good design from that perspective. The crystal is sapphire, so that's good for this price range. $199 that I spent on this. Having a sapphire crystal is nice. So in terms of the collars, this is the GMT blue. There's other collars, but I do like the colors in play, the blue, gray, and white. The blue sphere is raised a little bit, which adds to the 3D look and is well done. I think the actual sphere component of the dial is very nice. You can kind of see it's raised. You're going to notice a lot of reflections. I'll discuss that more here in a minute. You can kind of see though that the sphere is raised, again adding to that sort of 3D look and feel. The dial has the 24-hour sort of a full day window, which is clever, well executed, and this is loomed as well as the retrogrades and the revealing minute marker. So there's some lume on this. So the things I like about the dial are, yeah, I think the color, the blue sphere is very well done. I like having this full day window cut out in the sphere. I think this is a clever and well executed addition and a great aspect to this design, and something that I found particularly attractive. Now, that isn't on the automatic version of the watch, so that's only on the quartz version, and so that's nice. But that's where the good ends for me. I do like this watch generally as a concept, and it looks good from a distance. It looks good on the wrist when you're just kind of walking around. It does make sort of a modern design statement, and it's clever in a lot of ways in the way they've designed it. But there's some practical and quality sorts of issues that I want to point out with this particular watch, should you decide or you're thinking about buying one of these. So let's talk some of the cons. And I want to start with the case. Now, when I opened my box, one of the case screws actually was just rattling around inside and fell out onto the table. So you can see that there are 6 case back screws. This one over here was not in the threads. It was just rolling around in the box. And at least of course they're tiny. It fell into a location where I was easily able to find it. But that was the first sort of quality concern is, and hopefully it doesn't happen to anyone else, but I had to go get my screwdriver, place the screw, and then I made sure all the rest were nice and tight. Again, not something you hope to receive, and doesn't make necessarily a good first impression when it comes to quality. It just shouldn't happen. Okay, next let's talk about the crown. And I really like the case. I think this is a good, well-designed case overall, but I do not like the crown, and nothing about the crown actually. So first you can see that the latitude, longitude lines are etched into the crown, and it is sort of it's a dome shape, as you can see. You can see the latitude, longitude lines, and you'll notice there's some black gunk, some dirt or something of some kind in there, and that's how it was shipped to me. So the thing is these are etched lines. You can see the gaps, and what that means is this is going to easily attract dirt, and it will tend to stay in those cracks. It would have been better to have it on the surface as opposed to etched out, because you can see it's got gunk in there. And again, it came this way, right out of the box. Case screw, falls out. There's dirt in the crown. Not the best show in terms of quality up front. Now, I also don't like these beads around the side. It just looks cheap, and it really doesn't go with the overall look of the watch. This is a pretty common look on some cheaper watches in certain brands, and I just don't think it looks good, and it doesn't, again, go very well with the overall theme of the watch, in my opinion. All right, and the last thing about the crown that I don't like is that they put it on the left. Now, I thought I would, try it because I don't have any other watches that have the crown on the left, but really the question for me is why? Why did they put the crown on the left? Is it just to make a statement? Is it because it was easier to implement given the complications and how the movement was going to sit in the case that they chose to put the crown on the left side? Whatever the reason is, I don't think it's a very good decision. We're really trained to have the crown on the right, and I'm left-handed. So let me say that again. I'm left-handed, so you would think that this might be a little bit easier for someone like me to interact with, but when it comes to setting, it just feels awkward. So you pull the crown out, and then it's like, okay, which direction should I turn the crown to set the different things? The time, the date, the 24 hour. It's just not the way we're used to interacting with the crown. And it feels weird, even for a left-hander. So I'm not sure why they chose to put it on the left, but it's just a little bit awkward. All right, so the face of the watch. Again, this is really what draws the eye, draws the attention. And the crystal's flat, which is fine. I like flat crystals on watches, and it's sapphire, again, which is good. But I did some reading. I tried to dig a little bit deeper and see if I could see any mention of anti-reflective AR coating, and I don't believe there's any AR coating on this. There can't be. It just picks up way too many reflections. If they really wanted to help boost the readability of this watch, because it is hard to read in lots of different lights and directions, they really should have gone just a little bit further and done the AR coating. It would have helped a lot with being able to quickly read the watch. So I like the crystal, I like that it's sapphire, but it really needs anti-reflective coating. I'm making the blog post for this watch and taking pictures, and this is by far the hardest watch I've ever had to photograph. It is hard to pick up good shots of this without funky reflections, light, contrast. It's just hard to photograph, and harder than any other watch I've tried to photograph. So it's something where a little bit of extra, a little bit of AR coating could have gone a really long way and made it a little bit more readable in different kinds of light. So the black printing. Now this is, I think, an interesting idea. It's a good idea. So it's printed on the inside of the crystal. I do like the printed minute track, but I'm really torn on the printed latitude, longitude lines. I understand why. It adds to the 3D look. The printed globe, along with the raised surface of the sphere, really do work together to create this sort of 3D effect, and that's really cool from a design perspective. But those latitude, longitude lines are distracting. They make reading the time harder, especially if you're trying to read it quickly. It adds to the 3D effect, but I think if they had printed it on the blue sphere directly, it could have been a little bit better and the watch would have been a lot more readable. I just find it distracting to the eye. Your eye's trying to find out really where the edges of the hands are, not just the tips, but it's harder for the eye to catch where the edges and the tips are because the lines distract the eye. And I've just one of those things that you just don't know or can't tell until you actually get it in person and you try to start reading the time. I do like that the hands are big, but as with many Xeric watches, you can't quickly read the time due to light, printing, the design. So it does help having the larger hands, but it's still got some readability issues. So I do like the minute track, and I like the revealing minute hand. It's loomed, it's a sphere, adds to the overall, contributes to the overall design and theme of the watch, and that's nice. Now, the retrograde complications, they're a fun complication. The retrograde just means that, for example, with the date, we'll look here at the bottom, you can see the hand is currently pointing to the 2nd, because today is February 2nd. Happy Groundhog Day. But this will continue to increase day by day, and then when it gets to the end, it will flip back to the beginning. Same thing up here with the 24 hour, goes through the day. Again, this is the 2nd hour hand, the GMT hand. This will go to 24 hours, and then when it hits the end, it just instantly flips back to the beginning. So the retrogrades are a fun complication to have in a watch. They look cool. Generally, you don't see them that often. And they're great that they've placed them at the north and south poles, which again sort of adds to the overall theme of the watch. But you cannot read these things. They are unreadable. You certainly can't read the date from your wrist or even the 24-hour time. This is the north one, the 24-hour. It's a little bit more readable. The date certainly is unreadable from the wrist. Even if you take it off or you bring it up close to your eyes, you almost need magnification to be able to read this. And with the amount of real estate, remember this is 46, 47 millimeters. I have no idea why they went so small with the printing on the retrogrades. It's unusable. And the hands are blue, which might have been okay, but feels like a darker shade, and so they're hard to see too. The arrows are hard to see, but you certainly can't see the printing. You can see that there is some blank white space on both sides of the printing, on both of them. Not a lot, but some. But they could have made those half spheres a little wider. They could have made the printing a little bit bigger, so it could have actually been usable. It's just unreadable. And I just don't understand why, given the real estate, why they didn't take more advantage of that real estate and make these retrogrades readable from, just a normal distance when you're wearing it on your wrist. So the date, it's cool that it's retrograde, but it's just not practical. It's not usable. As far as the other hands are concerned, sometimes there's overlap issues, like, as the minute hand is going around, it obviously is going to get in the way of the date and of the 24-hour, where you're just not going to be able to see exactly where things are at certain times of the day, which maybe could have been alleviated by bringing the minute track in a little bit so that it doesn't interfere as much with the retrogrades at the top of the poles. But still, you've got a lot of real estate here, and just some tweaking of distances and sizes and things might have gone a long way in making this a little bit more readable, because it is hard to see for many reasons on the wrist. We've got light issues and reflection, the latitude longitude lines sort of distracting the eye a little bit, some overlap with the locations of hands and the retrogrades, and then just tiny printing for the 24-hour and the date. The Lume, I gave it a good charge last night, but it's not a high quality Lume. That's another sort of con for this particular watch. So another reason why I got this watch is because it's the only one that had lumed retrogrades and the full day indicator here, which this would really represent the sun. But it's the only one that has these components lumed on them. Now, the hour tip and the minute tip are both lumed as well. But it's cool, it does look neat at night or in the dark whenever these are all glowing. But it's not a high quality Lume, just be aware of that. I gave it a nice strong charge. You're lucky if you get a good 10-15 minutes where you can really see it well, make it out. So it's not a high quality Lume. Again, they could have done a little bit better there. And there's one more thing that I noticed as I was looking at this up close last night, and there's one imperfection on this particular dial. Again, just a quality issue. So if you look here between 7 and 8, you'll see that there's either something inside the case or some sort of a scratch or dent on the dial. So there's a little bit of an imperfection there. Not the end of the world, but again, just one of these little things that on top of everything else, a little bit, not the quality I was hoping for, I guess, or expecting from this. I mean, Xeric's done a lot of watches. They should be firing on all cylinders and really focused on fine-tuning quality at this point in their evolution. And this has just got a few issues that I think could have been improved upon. I do like the logo and the location. They chose down towards 6 o'clock, which is a good spot for the logo in this particular design. It's kind of cool, whenever the hand, ends up inside of the sphere on the Xeric. I don't know if that was planned or intentional, but there's some cool little things about the watch that certainly do stand out, and it is a fun watch. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I'm going to hang on to it or not, but it's certainly not something I would be wearing for the purpose of telling the time. It would really just be because it looks cool overall. It's got a good, general vibe about it, that sort of thing. So it's an okay watch. It's stylish, unique. It can help start a conversation, certainly. It'd be fun to talk about. I also got one of their Trappist straps to go on it. So when you get a Xeric strap, it'll come in just a little envelope like this. Let me show you. I did get another strap that will hopefully go well with this particular design. This is from an earlier series they had, which again is called the Trappist, but this sort of brown, lighter brown color will, I think, also look pretty good. This will kind of give it, a science fiction, sort of a space feel, which is a nice design to this strap, again made with really good quality leather and whatnot. But I also think it looks good on the dark brown strap, so we'll see if I change that out anytime soon, should I keep the watch. So the Xeric Atlasphere GMT, it's an okay watch. It's stylish and unique. It certainly has a chance of starting a conversation, but it could be improved upon, in particularly terms of readability and some finer quality assurance. I'm going to give you sort of some up-close views of this. I really think the blue is done really well. Again, they've nailed the color, I believe, with that. And, in certain reflections, these hands at the retrogrades also look really nice. Just they're hard to read in most light because it has that same sort of dark blue tint as the sphere. You can see toward the center it gets a little bit lighter, which again adds to that 3D look and feel. Is raised. Again, you're going to see a lot of reflections. I don't even have a lot of crazy light going on in this room, but it will pick up every single bit of it and reflect it back around inside the case. So the black printing on the inside is good quality. I mean, it's nice and sharp. Again, the Roman numerals contribute nicely to the overall look and feel. They're nice and applied, brushed. Seem to be pretty good quality. Again, you can sort of see the printing. There's the 24-hour full day window representing the sun. And then at night, it will, of course, go away. Dark representing night, light representing the sun. So that's not a moon phase. Do not confuse that with a moon phase. I do like the case back design. I have not taken it apart yet. I don't know that I will. You can see I've left the sticker on because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it or not. But you've got 6 screws here. A nice etched design, which would look even better without the sticker on it, but I'm not going to take it off yet. Quick release pins. I do really like the case on this watch. It's certainly the thing that I have the least issues with. Gunmetal's a nice tone. It does pick up smudges easily, as I mentioned a little bit ago, but you can see it's got, nice brushed look on the gunmetal. Even the edge of the bezels brushed, and then you got the sort of polished around the crystal. Let's take a look at it on the wrist. All right, so on the wrist, again, it wears actually reasonably well. I've not got a huge wrist by any means, and I've got a small wrist. I got a very medium-sized wrist, and you can see that the lugs curve nicely around it. Now that's not going to fit everybody as well, just because of the size. It is strange again having the crown on the left as opposed to the right. It is actually more noticeable in terms of being able to feel it on the left than it would be if it was on the right. The lugs again curve around nicely. The strap is great, comfortable feel. The buckle's nice. The sphere has a nice 3D look about it. You can see it does pick up light. The numerals catch light. Everything in it catches light. Which again, if you want to quickly read the time, even you can notice the hour hand. Notice it's pointing just past 12. You can see how the latitude and longitude lines would be distracting. Your eye knows it's there, but it still has to think a little bit more about it than usual, which takes a little bit more time for it to register in your brain exactly what time it is. So looking at this watch from the wrist, really the two best things about it are the color of the sphere, which is extremely well done, and the cutout in the sphere for the day. And that is certainly the best part of this watch. Again, it looks cool on the wrist, particularly from a distance. It can start a conversation, but it is certainly not the most practical or readable watch that I have in my collection at the moment. So thanks for watching this review of the Xeric Atlasphere GMT. It's got some pros and some cons about it. For me, it's got a few more cons than pros, so I'm not sure I'll keep it. I'll wear it around again for a few days and just kind of see if I start to meld with it at all. If not, I'll move it along. It's always nice to try a new watch that has some design features you haven't seen before. Kickstarter does provide a nice platform for smaller or newer companies to get products out to people, and if you can get in on the early bird specials, then you can usually get a pretty good deal as well. So that's what we got here as a try at a Kickstarter. Sometimes when you get them in, you like them. Sometimes they're not quite what you were hoping for. Either way, there's going to be another watch around the corner. You can make up your mind for yourself on this one. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at watch_complications. The blog posts will make it up eventually. They'll have lots of pictures about the Xeric Atlasphere GMT Blue. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm Brian, and this is Watch Complications.